Hello student, in the series of philosophical lectures of homeopathy, today we are going to study the 6th chapter from H. Robert Philosophy, that is the Principle and Art of Cure by Homeopathy. From this book, today we are going to learn the 6th chapter, that is Homeopathy and the Fundamental Law. As you are well acquainted with the all fundamental law of homeopathy on which homeopathy is based on, still today we are going to discuss whatever is the philosophical perspective regarding the fundamental law or the cardinal principle of homeopathy. Let us learn. Among the followers of Hahnemann, we often hear the statement that homeopathy is fundamental, that it is scientific, that it is based on natural law. Yes, homeopathy is fundamental. Fundamental, it is a basic, it is a which is based on principle, specific, very definite principle and law, that is scientific. Yes, it is based on principle and law, therefore it is a scientific. It is rational science because it is based on natural law. That means as homeopathy is fundamental as it is based on natural law. Let us grant for the sake of argument that this is true. The natural corollary of this statement is that these laws must be active in all realm of fundamental science, that is, that in those sciences that deal with the established law of the universe, the same natural laws must be active. Yes, let us try to understand. If there is some argument is there, but here we don't take this very hot argument, while it is a, you can say, discussion, for the sake of discussion or argument that this is true. Yes, homeopathy is based on natural law, it is true. The natural corollary means it is a natural conclusion from something already proved, that it is something corollary, it is the corollary of this statement. That means the homeopathy is already proved as a rational science, or it is a scientific. With this proved statement, this corollary of this statement is that these laws must be active in all realms of fundamental science. That means the principle and law on which homeopathy is based on, these laws are not only limited to the homeopathy only, while these are the natural law, and this as a science it active. This law must be applicable in all realm of fundamental science. Realm means it is field, domain. These are all active in any other field of sciences. That means there is no limitation only that these law of similia, law of simplex, law of minimum, or any other doctrine of drug proving or potentization or theory of chronic disease. These are not only limited to the only homeopathy, while these all law and principle, these are applicable for each and every science, because it is a natural law, it is a fundamental science. That is those sciences that deal with the established law of the universe, because these are the established law of the universe. The same natural laws must be active. Yes, and in any other field or in every field, these principle and laws are applicable. It is self-evident that natural laws must work not in contradiction to each other, but in sympathy and cooperation. These laws are fixed and immutable. Yes, you know that this natural law must work, not in a contradiction. Then whatever is the principle, if you observe nature, the whole activity of the nature going on very smoothly, and the different type of life cycles are there, different type of components of this nature, like living or non-living also, and these seasons, then all these factors which are related to the nature, the function of the all these factors are continue with very smoothly manner. These are not contradict to each other, but these are always helpful and cooperation with the each other, and but in sympathy, that means in not for the or there is very soft activity with each other, there is no destructive type of mentality or activity by these natural resources, all this, and but while these are all work in a cooperative way, these laws are fixed and immutable. These laws are fixed, the nature's laws are always fixed, and immutable means it is not a changeable, unchangeable law. Let us take the next paragraph. That which sets the planet in its orbit to regulate the other planets, that they obey the same laws. Their difference lies not in the governing laws, but in time, distance and circumstance, which again rule by law. Yes, in previous lecture we already learned that how all this universe is regulated and influenced by the universal cosmic vital principle, isn't it? And all planets obey the rules of this universe cosmic law, and therefore there is whatever is a movement of this planet in their fixed orbit, they maintain their distance in between them, and these are all based on the natural law, and it is very scientific in nature. It is proved by the application of mathematics also. There is a very determinant motion and very fixed which based on a very fixed principle, and therefore H. Robert called that as this planet obey the nature's law, these are fixed, and therefore there is no changeability in their distance, in their motion, in their activity also, while since millions of years they follow the natural law, and therefore this existence of this nature's law is since antiquity, since the beginning of this universe. That which sets the planet in its orbit, the nature's law, natural law or this cosmic energy keep the planet in orbit, so regulates the other planets, and it regulates the all planets that they obey the same laws. Their difference lies not in the governing law, but in time, distance, circumstances, which is again ruled by law. Everything there is law, isn't it? If the planet moved at random, lawlessly, the result will be chaos. That means if there is no law, no principle for the motion of this planet, then definitely there is a confusion. Chaos means confusion, and confusion which leads to destruction. So, 2. If one realm of the universe was moved by fundamental laws which had no application or relation to other realm of the universe, the result must be chaos. That means if you are only thinking about our solar system, in which the 9 planets are moved in the fixed way or on the fixed orbit, still there are n number of similar type of solar system exhibited in our universe. Still we don't have the perfect knowledge regarding them. Still the existence is there. And therefore H. R. Robert called that if one realm of the universe, that means it is this nature's law is not only applicable to our solar system, one realm of universe was moved by the fundamental law which had no application or relation to other realm of the universe. The result must be chaos. That means if only the one solar system of our solar system follow the rules and regulation or the principle of this or fundamental law of nature, and if other not, then the result will be the same. It is the only confusion, or the confusion leads to destruction. As whole universe work coordinately and cooperatively with a sympathetic manner, therefore our life is continue on this earth. If one science is seemingly governed by laws which are contradictory to those of another science, one must be lawless, not a science, or not science but chaos would be the result. Yes, if we talk about the science definitely based on principle which must be fixed and immutable, isn't it? If one is seemingly governed by law, if one science is seemingly governed by law which are contradictory to those of another, if you suppose one science is totally governed by law and another so-called science is, one must be lawless, not a science, not science but chaos would be the result. That means if one system is based on the fundamental law of nature and another system which is also called as science but it is not based on the fundamental law of nature, then definitely the system, the science which is not based on the fundamental law of nature, it is nothing, it is not a science but it is only chaos, it is only the confusion. And therefore if we compare the homeopathy is, and if we call the homeopathy is a fundamental, it is based on nature's law, and therefore it is a science. Therefore if you compare the homeopathy with another science of medicine or this any other medical branch like allopathy or isopathy or antipathy, definitely these are not a science, but while there is only chaos and that there is only confusion which leads to destruction, and therefore there is only science which is nothing but the homeopathy, because it is based on fundamental science, fundamental principle of nature. If homeopathy is a fundamental science or a part of a fundamental science, as we believe, it must work in harmony with all the natural realms and the laws which apply relationship to homeopathy. Yes, if we call homeopathy is a fundamental science, then you must believe the homeopathy is or must work in all the natural realm. Whatever is the factors are our surrounding, in the nature, in surrounding nature, the homeopathy must work with a cooperative way, coordinately and very harmoniously with the other factor of the nature, and the law which apply relationship to homeopathy, and this nature's law also establish the relationship or exhibit the relationship with other nature's law. That means as a homeopathy is natural science, there is no contradiction. The way of treatment is not contradictory to the nature, while it is supporting the nature. Why have we called about the supporting nature? Because this nature is support in order to keep the existence of our life. There is only the positivity, there is no destruction. Let us take the next paragraph. In spite of the years that have been devoted to the study of homeopathy. With their accumulated data, we glimpse but dimly the possibility of these conclusions. Yes, in spite of the years that have devoted to the study of homeopathy, yes, days together, years together, we devoted for the study of homeopathy. With their accumulated data, whatever is available science related to the homeopathy, we glimpse, that means we it is glimpse means it is a briefly, or you can say it is partially, but dimly the possibility of this conclusion. That means if we study homeopathy according to the available material, study material, you can say whatever is the study material available for the study of homeopathy, and if you spend many years for the study of homeopathy, and whatever you gain the knowledge from this knowledge of homeopathy from this book, basic book, we glimpse but dimly the possibility of this conclusion. Then we can take out the conclusion that yes, homeopathy based on fundamental, or it is homeopathy is fundamental, it is a science, it is based on nature's law. When we realize the confusion that man has caused in his individual life in every sphere, it is little wonder that he has misunderstood the natural power and resources and has failed to make use of natural laws. Yes, and we realize that the confusion that man has caused in his individual life, this confusion is created because of the there is, whenever there is no knowledge, that there is totally lack of knowledge. Because of the lack of knowledge, there is a confusion is created, and because of this lack of knowledge of the nature's power and resources, the human being in every sphere has confusion. It is little wonder that he has misunderstood the natural powers and resources and has failed to make use of natural law. And because of the poor knowledge, he is not able to understand the nature's power and nature's law keenly, because of the lack of observation, then, and because of the lack of the judgmental power, or you can say the power of observation, that there is no well understanding of this nature's law, and which definitely lead to the confusion. Then whatever is necessary there, try to understand nature's language, try to understand, and you observe nature very keenly and take out the conclusion from all this activity from the nature. That means, for example, in the two terms are used by Hahnemann in his introduction, that is the Deus Natura and Ministri Natura. What do you mean by Ministri Natura? Ministri Natura means nature is a supreme. Nature has a supreme power, and Deus Natura means follow the nature. But here homeopathy also advised that follow the nature. But previously you try to understand the language of nature correctly, isn't it? Otherwise, if you not able to understand the language of nature correctly, then your conclusion may be, or your inference may be incorrect, leads to only the confusion, because you not able to understand the nature properly. It is not strange then that medicine, among many other phases of our modern life, is but a series of experimental grouping without form or order. येस, ॲज यू नो, प्रत्येकाने काय केलंय, नेचरला वेगळं वेगळं समजून घेतलेलं आहे आणि त्यामुळे वेगवेगळ्या मेडिकल ब्रांच या वेगवेगळ्या प्रिन्सिपलवर आधारित आहे. you have a knowledge regarding the different modes of treatment like antipathy, isn't it? The antipathy, the whatever is observation by the follower of antipathy, their principle is based on the example of fire extinguished by water, and by it is a principle of their system of medicine, that is a contraria contraries, isn't it, which is based on this example, that is fire extinguished by water, and by using this they apply the opposite mode of treatment, isn't it, because they don't understand the language of nature properly. They are not able to understand the phenomena of disease and the dynamic aspect of the life, isn't it? They only observe the symptom and try to remove them by the application of opposite, isn't it? And it is a just example, but it is not strange then that medicine, among many other phases of our modern life, yes, during the course of evolution of human being, there is also the different types of method of treatments are developed, but these are all the series of experimental grouping, but these are nothing but the these are without all the system of medicine not based on a fixed principle. Fixed principle are the fundamental principle of nature, while many times these are only the experimental grouping. There is only the empirical way of treatment without any form or order. There is no specific or determinate plan of the treatment of medicine, because there is no principle behind this. The glimpse at our present state of social confusion cannot excuse our refusal to substantiate our claim that homeopathy is based on natural law. Yes, here the glimpses at our present state. Yes, you can take briefly, you can say regarding our present state of a social confusion. Yes, there is only confusion regarding the treatment of disease, cannot excuse our refusal to substantiate. Substantiate means it is a support with evidence our claim that homeopathy is based on natural law. Yes, you can briefly you can say whatever is whether you have to accept this principle of homeopathy or not, as these are the nature's law. These are only you can claim whenever you observe this all phenomena with evidence. Whenever there is a evidence, whenever you observe a various number of patients cured by the principle of homeopathy, then only you support this. Yes, you claim that homeopathy is based on natural law. Let us consider the place of homeopathy must hold if our contention be true. Yes, it is whatever is a contention means it is an argument, you can say. The assertion in argument, whatever is assertion in argument, that we call homeopathy is the only therapeutic science which based on nature's law. If you stick up with this statement, then whether it is in an argument with whenever we compare with another science, he told that let us consider the place of homeopathy. Yes, where is the place of homeopathy? Whether it is a true science, it is a rational science, It is a fundamental science based on nature's law. This statement of the argument is only true whenever we give some positive result from the application of homeopathy. Let us take the next paragraph. If homeopathy is founded upon fundamental laws, what are some of those laws? Our ignorance permits us to register but a few, but inevitably the time will come if we keep a clear vision, when we will be able to add more to our burden of proof. Let us look at the first formulated and recognized law of homeopathy, similia similibus current. Homeopathy is founded upon fundamental law, and what are some of those laws? Yes, we claim that homeopathy based on fundamental law. That means which we are talking for which law? Our ignorance permits us to register but a few, but inevitably the time will come if we keep a clear vision. Yes, you must have a clear vision on which nature's law the homeopathy is based on, and therefore we start to know or have a knowledge from the first formulated law of homeopathy, that is the similia similibus curantur. Yes, you know why it is called the first formulated law, because every one of you know the history behind this formulation of this law of similia. While translating Cullen's Materia Medica, when Hahnemann go through the lines that Cinchona cure ague fever, and he was very much dissatisfied with the explanation given by Dr. Cullen, that is because by virtue of the bitterness and the tonic effect on the stomach, Cinchona cures ague fever. And in order to know the true effect of the Cinchona bark on human being, Hahnemann himself decided to experiment on himself, and then he took the 4 grams of decoction of their good china for twice a day, and he observed that there is a manifestation of the similar symptom than that of the malarial fever, and therefore he concluded the experiment by virtue of creating the similar symptom in healthy human being, this Cinchona cure ague fever whenever it prescribed to the malarial patient. And here there is a first enlightenment of the law of similia. Whence came this law? It was simply an intelligent observation of our natural resources. Yes, if we know how this law is formulated, every one of you know, then you must have an observation of our natural resources, those in their closest proximity to our daily lives in the vegetable kingdom, and their relation to disturbed and disorder condition arising in mankind himself. Yes, if we want to prove this law from our closest and proximate in our daily life, we can observe this in our daily life also in vegetable kingdom, and their relation to disturb and disorder. Whenever this vegetable kingdom we used in randomly, sometime this vegetable kingdom or any drug substance from the vegetable kingdom has a capacity to alter state of health, and whatever is the disturb and disorder condition arising in mankind himself, and therefore some toxic plant, some medicinal plant, you can say, these are all have a capacity to alter state of health and produce some symptom. You can observe such type of reaction of this vegetable or plant on human lives, isn't it? It was found that the ills of individual man could be successfully treated thus. First, doubtless these substances were found in the vegetable kingdom, later in the mineral kingdom and animal kingdom also. Yes, first we try to experiment with the vegetable kingdom, and when you got the positive result of the action of this vegetable kingdom, and when we apply the medicine according to the law of similia, then we prepare the medicine and prove the medicine from mineral and animal kingdom also. Still later come the knowledge that this was not by chance an occasional means of cure, but that by law these substances acted in an orderly manner under certain definite conditions and circumstances. Yes, whenever we deliberately prepared a medicine, prepared various potency, proved on healthy human being, collect all the symptoms, and according to the law of similia we apply this medicine from different sources, we obtain from different sources, that is vegetable, mineral and animal kingdom also, and with very fixed plan of treatment, whenever we got the positive effect, therefore whatever is the result, that is a perfect cure occur, it is not by chance. Yes, because it is not by chance, because an occasional means of cure, while it is not only observed in only 1, 2 or 3 cases, while it is universally applicable, and you can apply this apply all this medicine according to the law of similia, isn't it? And but that by law these substances acted in an order. Yes, according to the law of similia, these all medicinal substances act in order of nature, according to the nature's law, and orderly manner according to the nature's law, under certain definite conditions and circumstances. Yes, whenever we observe the effect of this application or the effect of the similar remedy is very predetermined manner, this medicine act on human being and establish cure in definite condition and circumstances. That means every time this law of similia you can observe and very successfully in each and every case. This recognition of law underlying cure is of ancient origin. No one knows when the first recognition of this law crept into use. Crept means it is come forward. But ancient Hindu manuscripts recorded its application. Yes, every one of you know, and Hanuman also claimed that I am not a founder of this law, but as it is a nature's law, just like a law of gravitation, yes, it is, there is a existence of this law is before, but we acquainted with this law later. Yes, there is a previous existence of this law. Similarly, in field of medicine, this law is also has a ancient origin, and but no one knows when the first recognition of this law is crept, means come forward into use. No one know from or since when this law of similia is applicable in the medicinal field. But ancient Hindu manuscripts recorded its application. Yes, in ancient Hindu manuscript, in Ayurvedic system of medicine, Indian system of medicine, there is a principle, they claim the principle, that is a samaha shamayati, that is a tadarthakari chikitsa, according to the law of similia, they hinted this law of similia. Certainly Aristotle recognized it. A great Greek philosopher Aristotle also well acquainted with this law of similia for the removal of the disease, and Hippocrates sensed the possibility of this law and applied it in some recorded cases. Yes, in history of medicine, Hippocrates also well acquainted with this law, and he also advised that whenever the disease is curable, it must be treated with the law of similia. isn't it? And he quoted that, once he quoted that the substance which create vomiters is able to cure the, whenever it apply according to the law of similia, it has the ability to cure vomiting whenever it prescribed to the sick person. That means, and in many other cases Hippocrates also used this law in some recorded cases. There are some record also for the law of application of this law of similia. From time to time, all through medical history, this hypothesis was enunciated or demonstrated in greater or less degree. Yes, in medical history, they hinted this law and application of this law more or less. Hahnemann later demonstrated this law to be universal and not an occasional circumstances. But in history, these are very applicable in very few cases, and sometimes the unintentional cure are there, isn't it? Unintentional cure are occurred. But as Hahnemann experimented on himself and established homeopathy as a very successful method of therapeutic or mode of treatment, and he quoted that this law of similia is universal and not an occasional circumstances, while it will be applicable in each and every case of disease. It is not an occasional luck by chance cure, while you can apply or you can achieve the cure by the application of this law of similia, because it is a universal natural law. He called the science and art of healing which naturally followed homeopathy, but the thought was not a new one. It was age old before a science of healing was based solely on this law. Yes, it is not a new principle, while it is an age old principle. In other words, in even the embryonic stage of homeopathy, it was found that law governed. Yes, it means that in embryonic stage, in developing stage, in very primary days of homeopathy, it was found that law governed. That means whenever the other laws are not established, that is a potentization or theory of chronic disease, theory of vital force, these are not established, still there is only the law of similia and law of simplex. In those days also, in the embryonic stage of the homeopathy, this law is applicable. Although the other modification are the law of simplex and the law of kinematum joined with the law of similia afterward, still the law of similia is applicable. Gradual experimentation widened the possibilities of the application of this law. No amount of experimentation extended the law themselves. All the experimentation could do was to enlighten our minds regarding the scope of the law. Yes, whatever is the experimentation done in favor of the law of similia, these are all enlighten our minds regarding the scope of this law. The various other experimentation with the application of this law in various other disease condition, definitely this prove the scope of the law of similia. A law is a fundamental fact. Because we do not recognize a law does not mean that the law does not exist. Yes, the fundamental fact is that if you don't recognize the law, that means you don't know, that means the law does not exist. तर आपल्याला माहिती नाही म्हणून तो लॉ अस्तित्वातच नाही आहे असं होत नाही. ग्रॅव्हिटेशनचा लॉ हा अँटिक पेटीपासून सुरू आहे, पण तो केव्हा माहिती झाला तेव्हा अस्तित्वात आला जेव्हा ते न्यूटननी त्याचे कॅल्क्युलेशन्स मांडले, न्यूटननी जेव्हा ते सांगितलं तेव्हा आपल्याला ग्रॅव्हिटेशनच्या फोर्स बद्दल आपल्याला माहिती झालं. तसंच इथे आहे की लॉ ऑफ सिमिलिया हा अस्तित्वात होताच, नेचरमध्ये होताच, फक्त त्याची आपल्याला माहिती पण सर्वांनाच होती, पण त्याचं अप्लिकेशन कसं करायचं, त्याला सिस्टमॅटिक वेनी कसं अप्लाय करायचं, त्याचं कॅल्क्युलेशन्स सगळे हॅनिमनने आपल्याला सांगितलेले आहेत. even to man-made laws, which in their essence are not laws in the true sense, but rules laid down by man for man, it is recognized that ignorance of the law is no excuse. Yes, if we don't have a knowledge of the law, that means it is not there, it is not possible. The existence of the law is always there, but you get acquainted very lately to this law. Even it is true to the man-made laws also. Why man can establish any principal law? Because the rules are totally of the nature, isn't it? He only establish in a systematic way. As observation became focused upon the unfolding of this law of cure, other regularities in reaction were discovered, and a second law of cure, this time pertaining to the direction of cure, was formulated. Yes, once we know the law of similia is a law of cure, and when we apply the law of similia in a practical way, then we get acquainted with during the course of time we very well know that whenever how the cure is proceed naturally, isn't it? When we apply the medicine according to the nature's law, then we observe how cure is proceed according to the nature's law, and this was the law of cure, direction of cure is this was cure takes place from above downward, from within outward, from an important organ to a less important organ, and symptoms disappear in the reverse order of their appearance, the first to appear being the last to disappear. Yes, whenever we apply the most similar remedy according to the totality of symptom, then definitely whenever the cure process is started, and whenever the cure is established or proceed, the cure, there is a very definite direction of the law of cure. The second law of cure, which is it is mentioned by Dr. Herring very clearly and in very clear terminology, that the first is a cure takes place from above downward. Yes, whenever the cure takes place, it is always disappearance of the symptom. The first, it is always proceed from above downward, from within outward. Within outward, that means the all important organ lies in within, and outward there is less important organ, and therefore the third law is the from most important organ to less important organ. And this, with the relation of this law, there is a symptoms disappear in the reverse order of their appearance, the first to appear being the last to disappear. Yes, this disease is the direction of cure is according to this Herring's law of cure. It is also the very this second law of cure working with cooperation and with coordination and with harmonious way, isn't it? These two laws of cure not obstruct each other while they working very cooperative manner, isn't it? Okay, the rest of the lecture we will take in the next lecture. Okay, thank you.